homeless, I mean, there's a good chance they're gonna have a criminal record.
Yeah, especially if we're only fulfilling half the.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get up to 49. So we'll follow up on that.
Talk about, we're a pass-through of the grant. We've been trying to work more closely with that group, Wellstone, because they are mainly in charge of housing and the resident portion of that. And again, we really want to work closer with them. But I think the challenge is the after effects of what individuals are doing to the property. And that's causing the biggest challenge. I mean, we have the spots, but we don't have enough people who understand the level of taking care of that unit.
Maybe we could connect the program with Wellstone, and we could stay involved, and see if they can work something out.
Well, yeah, we have a Wellstone liaison that partners with the investigation cases that I work with. And their position is that now they're through a grant that they have, that there's a caseworker who follows them through housing, just to make sure they're compliant with medications and with any standards that are in place as far as living, and that their caseload is relatively small. So I just think there may be an opportunity for conversation.
Very good. Anything else? Anybody? All right. Is there a motion for approval of the resolution as presented?
I motion.
Crutcher, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Willie? Any other discussion, questions, comments? Being none, all those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. My next item is to act on a resolution authorizing quarterly charge-offs for the period ending June 30th, 2024. The Huntsville Housing Authority has on its books $7,476.80 owed by former residents who vacated April 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2024. The purpose of this request is to obtain approval to charge off 14 former resident accounts in the amount of $7,476.80 as of June 30th. The 16 vacant former resident accounts consist of 12 accounts for non-payment of rent, 2 accounts for non-payment of utilities, and 2 units were abandoned. The economic impact of this expense is $7,476.80. However, this amount is subject to partial recovery through the collection process. The breakdown is as follows. Rent, $6,416.80. Maintenance charges, $285. Court costs, $314. Late charges, $425. Bulk cable, $36. You also have the attachment of the breakdown by development for the write-off. And this is resolution number 2024-18. Do you have any questions?
I got anything? Again, we discussed this in a preliminary. Being none, is there a motion? Mr. Lowe, second. Mr. Williams, seconded. Thank you. Nothing else? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, none.
All right, my next item is our year-to-date financials as of April 30th, 2024, beginning with item number 1. There were no HHA, HUD, PHA operating funds and capital funds drawn in April 2024. The first quarter grant funds were drawn in June. Moving further down the page to total administration, this is our first month within this 9-month budget cycle. So the favorable variance is due to open positions for public housing and assistant manager. The favorable management and bookkeeping fees are explained by vacancy. There was no travel incurred in April of 2024, and other administrative expenses were lower than anticipated expenses for the first month of the reporting year. Moving down to number 3, at total tenant services, salaries and benefits for resident services is budgeted in this line item. there is an open intake position. The intake department has one open staff position. The other tenant services and expenses was for the 16 participants of the Cooking Matter classes. So those participants were, I think you might have saw that in the newsletter, they were given items to further use their cooking skills that they acquired from the program. Moving forward to the second page of the financials, number 4, total maintenance, the April 2024 expenses incurred is lower than the allocated 1/9 of the budget cost estimate for the month. Moving to total protective services, actual hours incurred by the vendor were lower than the anticipated budget for Johnson and Todd Towers, and those are for security services for those two developments. Number 6, pilot, this line item is expensed in the last month of our calendar year. And number 7, our collection loss is favorable due to collections received from the MIS Alabama collection system. Number,
MIS is, what's that?
Municipal Intercept Services. That's what this, that's the name about that. I'm sorry, that is when those, when the state taxes are intercepted from, we are listed and they are able to take the state taxes to be able to send back to us for past debts that we've listed within the system. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, and the last one, interim transfer. This interim transfer was transferred out to the HCP program for April 2024 expenses. This was to assist that program with their administrative expenses. HUD has graciously increased that allocation to 91% for admin expenses. So it's getting a little bit better. That's for the Section 8 program. So overall, our net increase in our unrestricted net position is $11,945 in comparison to a budgeted loss for the first month. So that is where we stand. And I also wanted to update you that HUD has also increased the subsidy that I had stated at 87%. They've raised it to 90%. So 90, it's getting better. So.
So we're gonna give you credit, you've been pounding it.
No, sir, not really, but I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad they realize it.
Absolutely.
So it gets updated on a monthly basis. So maybe I have better news in another 30 days. So those are all the items I have to present to you today.
Any questions, comments? That doesn't require a vote for the resolution, no discussion. And we will move forward to the next Department of Public Housing.
Good afternoon, board, colleagues, and then our visitors. Thank you guys for coming today. The first request for board action I am presenting today is a resolution authorizing the executive director, CEO, contracting officer to enter into a contract for security guard services at Johnson Towers and the Todd. The purpose and objective of this resolution is to ensure the safety and security of the development and the tenants that live there. An RFP was issued and 6 proposals were received. Out of those, the highest rated prospect was Vets Securing America, proposing a regular hourly rate of $29.71 per hour, and then a holiday rate of $42.83 an hour, for an amount not to exceed $400,000. Given this information, I ask that the Board of Commissioners approve resolution number 2024-19.
I have a question. When does the contract start for this?
If approved, this contract will start July 1st.
Anything else? Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Malone,
I'll second.
Mr. Willie seconded, thank you. Any further?
The second RBA is an act on a resolution.
Oh, we got to vote.
Oh,
I'm stammering through this here. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, thank you.
The second RBA is an act on a resolution authorizing HHA to enter into a contract for Authority Rod electrical services. The purpose of this action is to ensure the provision of prompt electrical repairs when short of staff and the safety of maintenance employees when electrical repairs are needed outside of their expertise. Edison Electric, Huntsville Electrical Services, and Current Electrical responded to the QSP for services. Edison Electric failed to provide proof of licensing and to guarantee the work that they would do would be performed by master licensed electricians. And then Huntsville Electrical Services also failed to provide licensing information. Therefore, Current Electrical was deemed the most responsive, having fulfilled all of the requirements of the QSP. But because the services will be rendered on an as-needed basis, the economic impact cannot be determined at this time. The contract with Current Electric will be for a maximum of 5 years. If there be no further questions, I ask that the Board of Commissioners approve resolution number 2024-20, authorizing the Executive Director, CEO, Contracting Officer to enter into an agreement with Current Electrical for authority-wide electrical services.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Lowe. Motion made by Commissioner Williams, thank you. I think we touched on this in a discussion the other day, but do we have an in-house electrician?
Richard Summers.
Okay. He's a certified electrician. I know our maintenance guys do a lot of stuff within certain parameters. Okay, I know at one time we had talked about even starting to use our electrician to do work for other people or to generate revenue and everything. Obviously, all we got going, that's not but that did just resonated in the back of my brain. Okay. All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. Thank you.
My next action item authorizes contracted HVAC repair services for the Public Housing Operations Department. These services will ultimately fulfill HHA's efforts to maintain the health, well-being, and comfort of public housing residents through the timely repair of HVAC systems throughout our developments. 2 responses were received from the QSP solicitation. HHA plans to form a pool with the 2 companies contacting them on an as-needed basis for HVAC services in order of rank and per availability for a maximum contract term of 5 years. As before, this economic impact is also unknown since the services will be used on an as-needed basis. And this is resolution 2024-21, where HHA will use both Prosperous, Integrity, and Linden J Group as represented to form a pool for HVAC repair services as needed.
Just quick clarification, they will be contacted in order of preference, in order of rank. Okay, so you'll start with Integrity, and if they can't fulfill it, then you go to Linden.
Exactly.
My question is, what do we do with now? I mean, is this, we don't have a current,
We currently use Integrity.
you currently use it because they asked theirs.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
Can I add to that? We do have in-house people who work on our AC units, but when they have an issue that they can't resolve, then they'll go out. Yeah.
Same as the night before, they got 2 months to do it, yeah. Focus of work. Okay.
So if it was with just Integrity last time, what's the need to add Linden to them as well?
Because a lot of our HVAC units are so old, going across the board, and when there's a lot, of course, in weather like this, and sometimes we just can't get to all of them.
Okay.
So there's a need to, call them in to make sure that our residents are served in a timely manner.
Okay, so we've run into instances where Linden or Integrity, over the last 5 years, the demand's even stripped out, but they can provide.
Sometimes
Okay.
it's a day or,
Okay.
and then 90 and 100-degree weather, that's a lot to
Oh,
ask
yeah,
a
yeah.
family.
That
Right.
makes sense.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to, I'll second.
Commissioner Cratcher made the motion, Commissioner Willie seconded. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, none.
Okay, the fourth action item is a resolution requesting the approval to enter into a contract for required background checks. Authority-wide, we are required to perform tenant court records, credit, that means just eviction records for HHA applicants, residents, and HCV clients. We do not conduct individual assessments to determine client eligibility without what we do. We make sure that it's not with bias. We make sure that if there's any violations, they're not going to affect the Fair Housing Credit Act. Staff must ensure that we determine if a client is eligible by making sure there's safety and the well-being of HHA residents and other individuals throughout the community in a close proximity. And of course, that applies to our HCV participants. Based on the information reviewed from the Jersey City Housing Authority, HHA has decided to join or piggyback their solicitation for background check verification services. This process of procurement is deemed permissible by the HUD Procurement Handbook, and therefore HHA seeks to award the contract to Online Information Services, which was deemed the most responsible bidder by the Jersey City Housing Authority. These services will have a not-to-exceed value of $50,000 over a course of a 2-year contract with a 1-year option for extension. Costs will be paid out of the public housing and HCV operating budgets. This is resolution number 2024-22, authorizing the contract with Online Information Services for the purchase of tenant court searches, credit, and criminal background checks.
We had a pretty good discussion on piggybacking last week, so anybody got anything else? Questions?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Lowe. Second. Roger seconded. Any other questions or discussions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. We got a lot to do this week.
Next, we have an act on a resolution rendering approval to enter into a contract for employment and income verification services. In order to comply with the statutory and regulatory requirements, HHA staff is required to perform these verifications. Conducting these verifications limit the opportunity for fraud and program abuse authority-wide. Just as the previous resolution, HHA sought out these services through using the justified joint or piggyback method of procurement, piggybacking off of the Montgomery Housing Authority in this instance, also deemed Online Information Services as the most responsive bidder for the employment and information services needed. The contract is for a period of 3 years with 2 1-year exercisable options for a maximum contract term of 5 years. The cost for these verification services will have a not-to-exceed value of $412,500. The cost will also be paid out of public housing and HCV operation funds. This is resolution 2024-23, authorizing the executive director /CEO contracting officer to enter into this contract for requirement employment and income verification checks to be purchased through Online Information Services.
Thank you. Anybody got anything on this one? Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Willie, the motion, Mr. Williams seconded. Anything else? Not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None.
The following resolution is being submitted requesting the approval of revisions to the utility allowance and flat rent schedule for the Public Housing Department. HHA must review utility allowance and fair market rents annually. In the event that there is a 10% variance allowances, and flat rents, then the schedule must be adjusted. As the study was conducted by Energy Consulting Group, there is a variance of more than 10%. Therefore, the HUD Register does require an update. Of course, I attached the studies conducted for your review, which included a comparison of this year's and last year's scheduled amounts. With approval of resolution number 2024-24, we would update the utility allowance and flat rent schedule, and it would be effective on July 1, 2024.
Thank you. Anybody got anything on this?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Lowe made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll
Billy seconded. Any else? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Lastly, is an act on a resolution authorizing the executive director, CEO, contracting officer to request that 2 units at the Cersei Homes Development be decommissioned by HUD for the use as a management site office as well as a workspace for the maintenance staff there. As many of you know, Cersei Management currently shares a space with the Boys and Girls Club as well as the Boy Scouts Troop 400, not to mention other partnering organizations when the space is available. We are seeking the board's approval to take 2 adjoining units located at 302A and B homes offline to use for management and staff in order to free up space for these community partners that we currently share the space with. 1 unit will be used for admin staff and the other unit will be used as workspace for maintenance staff. Under the HUD regulations, we would still receive operating subsidy for the units, but then the building that the Cersei Homes Management is currently in would be holistically designated for special use. There is no economic impact involved with this designation. With that being said, I ask that the board to please approve my final item for today, resolution number 2024-25.
Thank you. I'll just comment here that, we've talked about it many times, we never take it lightly, or just, we get a lot of requests to decommission units for nonprofits or resident services or whatever. We never take it lightly because we realize we're taking an apartment off the market that the family would be in, but this just makes so much sense and so crucial because of the expansion of all the services, the resident services, and the way the community is networking and families are coming in. It's just so much opportunity over there to program, help get more people in family self-sufficiency, some of the things that we do. So just wanted to share that. And also at this time, I'd like to share too what a great partner the Housing Authority has been to the neighborhood and to the nonprofits working over there, particularly the Scouts and the Boys and Girls Club, because Miss Vanessa, the property manager, she said from day one, whatever you need, I've got it for you, I'll help. The maintenance guys over there, it's really a team effort, and there's a strong relationship between the people that are in there doing the programming every day, and serving the community and your staff. So just wanted to make sure, how much that's appreciated, how much it means for the collaboration and working together. Anybody got anything else on that? Questions about the space or the program or anything? It's going to be a huge opportunity.
It is. It's much needed as well. I went over and visited a couple weeks ago, and it's needed for the kids. They
It
need
is.
space. So.
It is. And from Miss Vanessa Cameron and her assistant, they've got confidential, have meetings, and it's so loud. I mean, we've got 50, 60 kids in there a day, coming in all day in the summer. They're trying to have meetings with people and get business done. So it's another reason they're all in on this one. Anybody got anything else on this? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Willie, Commissioner Crutcher seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Excellent job, Ms. Pope.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to go to your comments, but I want to commend you too for having the foresight to call the preliminary board meeting. This might have been a 2 or 3 hour meeting.
Yes.
And we hadn't had a chance to discuss these prior.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we have the public housing board meeting over with. We will, I wanted to bring to attention, we're halfway through the year already. And I was able to go back and look at the strategic plan that we had put together. And just we'll get an annual report. We started back doing those last year, but in conjunction with that, just talk about some of the things that are taking place. One of the things we said we were going to do is promote a stronger commitment to self-sufficiency. And I think it was last month, we had all those graduates graduate from Drake to get their certification and to become business owners. The last couple of weeks, and I will share this with everyone. I got a text from Quinn from another participant who graduated and became a homeowner last week. So doing that, and we're promoting a healthy, engaged, productive workforce. I got an opportunity to hear about a young man who's actually started out part-time with us, moved up. I think he was working on the trash truck, and now getting the opportunity to move up to be an assistant property manager. Guy who's an ex-military, who just needed a job, and just the opportunity to advance is being created. And then Mr. Fountain touched on this earlier, creating those collaborations. I mean, again, we wouldn't have the residents graduating if we didn't have Drake State and other organizations partnering with us, and we're trying to do an even better job of bringing in new people. We still are trying to drive some of the entrepreneurial innovation as it relates to utilizing some of our existing assets. So we had last week, last board meeting, a couple of demolition applications come across the board to take care of those. And we're right here at inspection time. So our first inspection, we received a 99. We got an inspection next week, and then we got Northwoods coming up. So all these inspections are starting to happen, and so our goal is to get those extra points. Last time we got graded, we were 87. It takes a 90 to be a high performer. So we're trying to get back to that high performer status that we've had for over the last 15 years. And coming out of COVID, you know, we didn't reach the mark, barely, by an 87. But we also, I sent out information today on expanding housing choice, and Dry Creek is about 90% finished. So we're able to expand housing, and then conducting business operations with increased efficiency. I think we're doing a good job of that as well. And we've tried to communicate all this through a newsletter. Our social media person has done a great job of putting it online out in the community. But if we need to do more as it relates to getting information out, I'm willing to sit down one-on-one, do whatever we need to do to kind of inform and keep everybody informed. I think Neil's just created a SharePoint file for us to share even more information, because at the end of the day, I think sometimes an organization this large who's been doing good stuff, there can be a gap in communication, and we want to do a better job of just kind of creating that. The two other housing authorities our size in this state are having some trouble. And, you know, it's good to be at an organization that is not in the principal's office, I'll say that. And so I just want to thank the staff for what they do, and the board for just kind of supporting us and where we are. I mean, halfway through 2024, we will have an update, an annual update, and I want to get more input from the board on what you all would like to see in that meeting. One of our goals is to try to get the regional administrator to be our speaker, Jennifer Collins. We're going to put that out there because we had another organization who wants to partner with us for that event to kind of see what we can do to increase housing opportunities in the north end of town as well. We are stretched when it comes to our vouchers. We don't know how many vouchers we are going to be able to put back on the street because we're full. So anything that we can do to partner with other organizations to continue to expand housing is what we want to do, because at the end of the day, if we don't do it, it's going to be a challenge. I was speaking to an elderly person out at Stone Ridge Villas about the challenges they have in finding opportunities, because everybody's going up on rent. And so if we don't create or continue to create opportunities, there are going to be a lot of elderly who don't have housing as well. So we're just going to be continuing to get on the ground, looking for partners and opportunities. We'll hear from HUD next month about the Choice neighborhood, and I just got a great feeling that we'll be one of those organizations selected for that. And that's all I have.
Very good. Anybody got any questions?
I have a question. The Dry Creek community, is this similar to Monrovia Flats?
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's going to be a lot bigger.
okay.
And one of the things that we had to do was we went back to them to increase the number of vouchers that we have in Monrovia and in Dry Creek, because we were kind of challenged in placing those units. And so they agreed to expand the opportunity. So next Monday at 8 o'clock, the Housing Choice Voucher will open for Dry Creek. It's going to open at 8 o'clock next Monday. Monrovia Flat, I'm sorry. It's going to open. And last time we did something like this, we opened it for a couple of days. We got about 500 applicants. And so I'm sure it's going to be the same. It's only going to be open for a day, 2 days, and hopefully we'll be able to, I know we'll have a good long chunk. And I want to say this on behalf of Section 8. Last week we had HUD, not the field office, but national office in the office to manage our files. They didn't have any findings. They made some suggestions. They had some concerns on what we can do to kind of work better, but no findings. And next week we have the field office in town, and I'm hoping for the same results, that we don't have any findings. But I welcome that, because again, we want to be the top organization, so anything that they can do to help us, that's what we want to do.
Thank you. Just quick follow-up on, you said some of the other housing authorities like our size in the state are troubled. I don't know if you refer to a management or financial perspective, but you see, when you see these ride-by shootings and crime, I think we take for granted the violent, frequent crime in some of the bigger cities, even just in our state here. I think we take for granted that we don't, we have our share of issues, but so I always look when I see where there's been a shooting in Birmingham or Montgomery or Mobile. A lot of times it's right in one of the public housing sites. So that's a credit to the whole community, but especially the housing authority management. Anybody got anything else? Any public comment, sir?
No, just not public comment. It was just something that hit me this morning that I wanted to bring before the board, just as an opportunity for us to have a discussion on, like, what do we do next? I know we, like I said, going through the financial plan, the strategic plan, and looking at that, and I think you all are doing a great job with that. But something that came across my desk this morning, I guess it made me stop and think, because it's an education choice. I don't know if you all have been following that, this whole thing with the education system, with public education, public, private, and now this education choice where, whether it be homeschool, it's kind of complicated, so I don't even understand it all right now. But I know that it seems to me that some of the individuals who are going to be impacted the most, and it said in the article, it said it's certainly folks in minority communities is going to be impacted more with that, because the public, and the way I'm reading through it is that the public schools will not be getting this traditional support to the extent that they have, because kids being pulled from the public school can go get homeschooled, can go to private school, and they get vouchers. They get vouchers to pay for it. I think the one was, I don't know, it was. Well, this was the Choice Act program. I think it said $7,000 per kid enrolled in an accredited, participating private or public school, and then they have these various accounts they're set up. Because I think what my sense is that I think parents want just like they want the best housing for their kids, they also want the best education that they can give to their kids. And if we start to see, or we start to anticipate, maybe we can kind of be a leader here within this area, we start to anticipate that you're going to have our public schools not being able to provide the level of education that folks, because if we want people to advance, we want, we need to continue providing them with what they need to advance, and education, just like housing is one of those. And now, I don't know what all that means, right? So it was just, so I don't know what all that means. I don't even know what we would, but I said, maybe as a board, we can kind of begin to look at it. That it's no decision or anything that's needed, but something to look at from a strategic perspective. And what do we, like I said, what's next? What do we do next?
That's definitely.
And this may be one of those
Changing landscape.
Yeah, and it's, but anyway.
Thank you.
I do want to address that. We actually meet with the school system every month with the superintendent. And one of the things that we talked about piggyback in a different form, but one of the things we want to do, Birmingham has started an initiative for perfect attendance and trying to find an initiative for families. And so we're working with the school system to come up with some kind of incentive that we can do to help, not only with perfect attendance, but with grades. Because we do see that and see the importance of us being at the table with the school system to kind of, and they challenge us too, because not only do children have an opportunity to go from a failing school to a school that's doing well, it becomes a challenge when they're our children and they go somewhere else, and transportation becomes a problem. So we're working with them.
Good.
And kind of trying to stay in light.
Yeah, let's stay at the big place. I think that's something that we should stay engaged in. And as they say, keep the pressure on them to do, because it will be one of those things that will be challenging for our kids to get that. And I think the article, it was, I think it was the New York Times or something, and they were talking about that at the same, and it was at the same time where they was talking about a young man who he was walking. He had to walk. I mean, he was, and I think he was probably from public housing, but because his parents didn't have a way to drive, he was trying to get to his graduation. And so he was walking with his cap and gown on, and he's headed to graduation. And so it was one of those enlightening things that showed that there are people out there who really are pushing hard to do that. And that's what this young man he was talking about. Because I don't know, I think it was Steve Harvey. Somebody got the word of what he was doing, and they reached out and said, "We're going to help you," because I think he's going to get a scholarship and stuff there. I think somebody gave him a card and said, because he couldn't get around.
We definitely want to be part of those stories.
And so that's why, and I think that's really what going to the next time. There are ways to make things happen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anybody signed up for public comments? The lady leave that was the landlord, go get her questions answered.
Yes, she said
You got anything, Ms. D?
not at the moment, but I will.
But I think just about everybody here knows Ms. D, but she's the president of the Northwoods Residents Council and the citywide, is that right?
At the RAB, yes. Yes, sir.
Resident Advisory Board.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you for coming. Appreciate both of y'all being here today. So no public comments, commissioner comments. Commissioner Cratcher, got anything?
No, great, thank you.
Hello?
No comment?
All right. I don't have anything else to add either, so this time we'll stand adjourned.